Hello again, everyone. Finishing off New York weeks. I'm going to look at the Yankees now of the MLB. I am a Jays fan, so naturally I am not a Yankees fan at all. But I can't deny the success they've had, the historic value they bring to the city of New York. They are a great team, and as much as that hurts me to say, being a Blue Jays fan, I'm going to be realistic and honest with my listeners and my viewers. The Yankees are a great franchise. Arguably the most historic franchise in all of New York. Yes, you have the Knicks in the NBA, and you got the Rangers in the NHL, and of course the Giants in the NFL. But I think of all the New York sports teams, I think the Yankees are the one that have the most historical significance to the city of New York. And like I said, they are a great team. As painful as that is for me to admit, I'm going to be honest with my listeners and my viewers and tell you that the Yankees are a great team. And if the Jays do want to win the AL East and make it deep into the playoffs, the Yankees are the team they have to beat, and that's been the story for years, and will continue to be the story for years. Obviously, they got a little bit of a different look to them. No Jeter, no Posada anymore, and that's where I'll start with, is the shortstop they now have is a guy called Didi Gregorius. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name correctly. He's only 25 years old. No matter what guy you bring in who's going to be taking the shoes of Derek Jeter, big shoes to fill. And I think it's good to put a young guy in there. They could have gone through free agency and found an established shortstop who's played on another team before to take over Jeter's shoes. But I think it's good to kind of stay in-house and go with another young guy and see what this Gregorius guy can bring. Doesn't have great batting numbers, but solid numbers. 255 average, 5 homers, 32 RBIs, 4 stolen bases. Again, he's only 25 years old, so he's still going to grow and develop. And hopefully next year he won't have that, Jeter, replacing Jeter kind of shadow hanging over him. Not that I think he really had too much of that, but I think he'll have a better season next year with Jeter being another year removed from the team. I think will allow Gregorius to kind of have his own identity and not be, the Jeter 2.0 or the guy that is the new Jeter on the team, I think, because he's not going to be a Derek Jeter. He has different skill set and he's 25 years old. He's not same age as Jeter, different skill set. He's going to be a different shortstop for this team, but I think he will be a solid shortstop for this team. Looking at the catcher position, Brian McCann, one of the greatest catchers in the whole league. 247 average with 21 homers, 74 RBIs, having a stellar season. And their backup catcher, John Ryan Murphy, who is only 24 years old, is having a solid season as well with a 274 average, a homer, and 10 RBIs. So I think their catcher position is good. You don't have to worry about improving that or that being a position that they've struggled with. Very solid catcher in Brian McCann there. Mark Teixeira, their first baseman, again having a fantastic year. 257 average, 31 homers, 79 RBIs. Great year from him. And, those two guys, like I said, their averages are hovering around 250. Be nice if those averages were higher. But like I've said with the Mets yesterday, you're going to give up some average to have guys that are going to go out and give you 25-plus homers. Teixeira could have a 40 home run season by the time it's all said and done. We'll see what happens. Continuing around the infield, the second baseman, you got Stephen Drew as well as Jose Pereira, who's a 25-year-old second baseman they have on this team. He's only batting .212 with a homer and 4 RBIs, so not sure if he's going to be sticking around in a major league club for that long. But I think Stephen Drew, as solid as his production has been, with 15 homers and 35 RBIs, a 192 average is horrible, and that's why he's batting ninth all the time. And even then, it's tough to keep him in the lineup. But when your other second baseman only bats .212. Well, you're going to keep Stephen Drew in there because he's got 15 homers, so he has a little bit of pop to his bat to have at the end of the lineup, but he's probably only going to go 2 for 12 in a whole series if you're lucky. So we'll see what happens with that second base position. I think that would be where they need to improve. Obviously, they used to have Cano, don't have him anymore, so I definitely think that if they were looking at a specific position on where they needed to upgrade, for me it would be second base. Third base, Chase Headley, very solid year from him, 272 average with 9 homers and 50 RBIs. And then, lastly, the utility infielder they have is Brendan Ryan, who's got a 246 average with 7 RBIs. So, overall, catcher and first base position, very solid. Shortstop, young with Didi Gregorius. Second base is definitely the position that I think they're going to upgrade with. And Chase Headley's playing solid for third base. You got your DH, Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod. Obviously, steroid scandals, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that because I think that whole topic and that whole scenario has been talked about more than it even needed to. I think the steroid situation in baseball has started to change. Obviously, they're a lot more strict with their policies, and that's great. I think it's great for the game. But I think A-Rod is showing that he can still play well. He's got a 259 average with 26 homers and 68 RBIs at 40 years old. Now, again, without the steroids, would he be playing this late into his career? Who knows? But he's clean now. That's guaranteed he's clean now, and he's still going to have a 30 home run season. So why he was involved in the steroid situation at all, I don't really know. I mean, of course I do know, but if you can put up those stats without it, then you shouldn't be doing it at all, even if you weren't putting up those stats. If to make it in the majors you need to be juicing, then you shouldn't be a baseball player. You should stay in Double-A for your whole career, or, don't get into a professional sport. That's not just for baseball, that's my opinion on all sports. Don't do the steroid things. I'm more impressed with guys like Josh Donaldson and Trout with the Angels, who put up great numbers, have been clean their whole careers, and that's great. And I think, unfortunately, guys like that are going to have 40 home run seasons, and they're going to be, we should test them, we should be testing them every week. They can't be doing that legitimately. No, guys can do that legitimately, and I think that they're proving that. So I think, A-Rod has been having a great year for this team. I think that steroid scandal is kind of now behind him. I think it's always going to loom over his career and might be a big factor whether or not he makes it to the Hall of Fame. We'll see what happens with that. With the outfield, very solid outfield for this Yankees team. Picking up Dustin Ackley was an interesting pickup for me. He's only batting .212 with 6 homers and 19 RBIs, but he's a veteran player, and he brings a good dynamic to the team, I think, for sure. Ellsbury having a very solid year, .276 average, 6 homers, 26 RBIs, as well as 15 stolen bases. Brett Gardner and him provide a great speed game for this team. Gardner's got 16 stolen bases with a .280 average, 11 homers and 52 RBIs. And then you got Chris Young, .253 average with 13 homers and 36 RBIs. And lastly, Carlos Beltran, .272 average with 13 homers and 43 RBIs. For me, very, very solid outfield. Brings the speed element to the team. You're going to get your power from McCann, Teixeira, and Alex Rodriguez. You bring in Ellsbury and Gardner, who also have some power to their bat. They'll hit 10 to 15 home runs for you. At least Gardner will. Ellsbury maybe only hit 10. But then Beltran and Young, they'll go out and hit 15 to 20 for you. But it's nice to have that speed element in your lineup as well with Gardner and Ellsbury. For me, if I was to pick a personal MVP for this team based on the season, it would be easy to pick Teixeira. I think for most people, he's leading the team in home runs, leading the team in RBI. But his average is only .257. For me, I'd want to give it to Brett Gardner if I was to pick an MVP for this team, just by the diversity that he brings. He's going to have a 15 home run season, 20 plus stolen bases, an average over .270, and probably about 65 to 70 RBI. So as much home run power that Teixeira brings, his average is going to be about 25 points lower than Gardner's, and Gardner brings a speed element that Teixeira just doesn't. So that's my thought on who the team MVP should be. And the reason I pick a position player and not a starting rotation member or a pitcher is because the pitching staff hasn't been great. And I think the team has been a very solid team to allow the Yankees to have a game and a half lead on the Jays right now in the AL East, because the starting rotation hasn't been fantastic. Sabathia is 4-9 with a 5.24 ERA. If it wasn't for the gigantic paycheck he was getting, I don't think he'd be starting right now for the Yankees. I'd have him as your long reliever. But he's been in the league too long, has been successful in the past. But a 5.24 ERA, if you're a guy like that, look at the Jays. They've sent Hutchison down to AAA because he's got an ERA over 5. You're obviously not going to send Sabathia down to AAA, but I would have seriously considered moving him to the bullpen, even if it was just for a week or two, just for him to figure out what's going on. Pineda's been having a solid year for this team, though, as has Eovaldi, who's only 25 years old. Pineda's only 26, so those two guys, very young guys still. Pineda's 9-7, 3.97 ERA, and he's a strikeout per inning guy. Eovaldi's 12-2, 4.26 ERA. Tanaka, big story for him when he came in. He's also only 26 years old, 9-5, 3.56 ERA. So I think their starting rotation has been solid. I don't know if it's been great. I think Sabathia has been having a horrible year. Nova has been having an okay year. He's 5-5, 3.57 ERA. They have a young guy in Severino who's only 21 years old. He's 0-2 right now. But he's got a 3.18 ERA, and he's a strikeout per inning pitcher in the limited time that he's seen. So I think he'll be a good young pitcher for this team going forward. The bullpen, though, I think has been their strength. Shelby Miller, 1-2, 2.08 ERA. He's got 66 strikeouts for 43 and a third innings pitched. Betances, 6-2 with a 1.13 ERA. He's already got over 100 strikeouts, and he hasn't even pitched 70 innings yet. So he's an amazing bullpen pitcher. Shreve is also only 25 years old. He's got a 6-1 record with a 2.05 ERA, and he's a strikeout per inning guy as well as a relief pitcher. So I don't think the starting rotation hasn't been strong. It's been the bullpen that's been excellent for this team, and I think that's why the Yankees are leading the division right now. Those are my thoughts, though, on the Yankees. Hopefully all my listeners and viewers have enjoyed my thoughts on New York sports teams over the last couple of weeks. I'll be back next week with a new city, and that city's going to be Seattle. So I'll be talking about the Mariners as well as the Seahawks. And I'm also going to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder of the NBA, since they used to be the Seattle Supersonics. So, yeah, next week, hopefully you can look forward to Seattle week and have enjoyed the last couple of weeks with New York sports teams. Thank you again all for listening. I appreciate the support, and you can follow me on Twitter at GHAM614. Bye-bye for now.